give a shout out. Hold on. We have let me go to my messages here real quick. While that's loading and populating, and actually now that that's working and all that good stuff, I don't need this stuff anymore. I can say this is a working file if I want to go in here and rig it and do all sorts of weird stuff, but that's okay. And then ZBrush, we've already saved everything we need, I think. We saved Ernie bot. So ZBrush, you can go away. Just trying to free up some resources here. So Masi Milano Axel Gatti gave me last time when we were making our salt bot, he gave me a really cool substance material that he had made that we're going to be using today, I think. So we'll go through here. So I'm just going to click through all these different levels here. This is now a smart material, again, is just a collection of material. So we have our base metal in here. And if you want to know some more, I mean, go back through my other videos. I go over all sorts of painter stuff. I don't want to drag you guys through that if you've already seen it. So we're going to go in here to this fill layer here. And that's just kind of like a beat up thing. Here's weapon metal. Now the weapon metal isn't assigned anything. So let's go ahead and do a massive color selection. And we'll say weapon metal will be that stuff here. And then rusty steel. Let's do the painted as our barrel here. That'll be kind of our rusty barrel. And if we go into the barrel here, we can do a hue shift on that paint modifier, so we can change the paint color here. And the saturation, let's desaturate it. It's pretty desaturated. Let's change it over to a red. And there's a ton of different ways to do this. It's like Photoshop times channels, times multiple channels. So there's a lot of really fun stuff. If you go to my YouTube channel, there's a painter quick start and a substance designer quick start if you're interested in doing like substance designer stuff. Yeah, let's do a little orange. And so we got that. We got painted decals on here ready to go. And then this will be paint. So if we want to paint something on here, let's go into our brushes here. And we'll grab a Sharpie just to start with. And on this, we're just painting a mask here, so it's just going to be either black or white. And when we paint white, that material is going to show up. Now, the reason I'm doing this as a separate fill layer is because I can control the height and the specular and the glossiness separately. Let's see. So, color is related to the base color of a font or other stuff. Yeah, and you can also bake your material IDs off of different materials, different polygroups. All that stuff is available to you when you do this stuff. Xcube, when is it better to texture with texture sets versus ID maps? Well, I mean, texture sets are going to be these texture set list over here, and that's what you have material groups. So it's like if I wanted to just have the arms on a 0 to 1 texture sheet, say I wanted the arms and legs to be on one 2048 and the body on another 2048, I could have those UV'd separately, and then I could assign different materials to them and bring those in as texture sets, and I can swap between those. If I have enough time, I'll bring in something that has a lot of texture sets. My commander, if you go to, geez, come on, Google. Let's go to my profile here. If you go to my ArtStation page, here's a painter walkthrough on this dude, and he has 11 texture sets. He's a big one. So yeah, we can go ahead and paint something on here. So let's go ahead, and you can hold that control. And I really wish Photoshop had some of this functionality here. Perfect. That's beautiful. Now, what I like to do when I'm doing painty stuff is, that doesn't look like somebody painted on really. But if you go to a ZBrush, ZBrush Pixel Logic download station, they have a bunch of, I'm going to bring them in here real quick, paint splotches. I'm just going to grab all these and I'm just going to drag them into my here, and I'm going to call all of these alphas. I wonder if I can do all these as alphas at the same time. That would be nice. And I'm just going to import these into the project. You can import them into your shelf so they'll always show up. I use them often enough to where I probably should do that. You know what? I'm going to do that. We'll go ahead and do that. We're going to say these are all alphas. And I'm just going to import it into my Substance Painter shelf. So every time I start up Substance Painter, it'll show up. You can also assign it to have them just show up just in the current session, or just for this project when you open it, or import sources to shelf import. Yay, so here's a bunch of paint stuff. So in this paint stuff here, we can go through here and I can add paint here. I'm going to add a paint underneath there, and we'll go through here and just grab these splatters. Now if I'm going to be splattering paint, I can just click and splatter. Now unfortunately some of these are kind of grayish, so what I'm going to do is actually add a levels, and so now I can go through here and kind of supplement. I'll do like a paint splatter across here, and then I'll use the levels to kind of, if I hold down Alt and tap the paint, you can see what it's doing, and then with this levels I can kind of really just go through and just force this paint to be really, really contrasty. Hit M to go back, and now honestly I probably should go into these paints and just make them more white. And oh boy, I am forgetting so that's bigger and smaller. There we go. This is what I want in Photoshop, the ability to rotate. Can you do that in Photoshop? Like instead of going into the brush settings, because here I can go left and right and do opacity, and then I can go up and down and do rotation. That would be so useful to do in Photoshop. Always feel like I have to go in there and like rotate around like decals and stuff. Let's see, this one here. Let's just bust that up. All right, that'll work. Let's see. I am using a mouse to stamp the stuff, but the whole time I've been in here, I've been using my tablet. And in fact, when I do hard edge modeling in Maya now, I just use a tablet. It's just a lot easier on my wrist mostly. Cool, cool, cool. Oh yeah, there's Axel. That's the that's the Axel I was talking about. Question: in most companies, will the character artist also do the textures? How it is now, yes. I mean, I am only speaking for my company. I can't speak for everybody's company. Actually, you know what? Let's go into the painted decal. No, but it kind of depends on the studio. Most people by now, I would imagine, would have a material team. Just because it's so awesome to have a material team, and it makes a lot of sense to do that. Painted rusty steel here, we'll go pick, and let's do these here. Now since these are separate, I can always change that. So what I can do is I can go to color selection, I'm going to add a paint, and I'm going to say also I'm going to paint this one black. So I can go to select, black, whole object, and just make these things not that. So you can kind of just juggle your masking a little bit too. And then let's do a red material here. I'm just kind of jumping around a little bit. Car paint, no. Actually, let's go to Smart Materials here. And we'll do another steel painted. This one's going to be slightly different, because in this one, I'm just going to have it go to here, and this one's going to be red. So this base material here is roughness and roughness. And then the color, scratches, gun steel. Oh boy. What a nightmare. No idea what this is. Yuck. Alright. Gone. Let me go to my smart materials here. Do I have... I need to go find axles here. It's M. Oh wait, it's just a material. That's why. There we go. We'll do paint, rusty steel. And we'll go ahead and tile that. Alrighty. Another thing we didn't do last time, and this is really kind of fun stuff. I don't do it very often, but it's kind of fun to show. So if you want to, well, let's do a fill layer here. And just for demonstration purposes, we'll color this like bright green. And we'll also make it super shiny. And we'll add a little bit of height to it. Actually, we'll put a little negative height into it. So what I can do is add a black mask here. And then in this black mask, what we can do, it's been a while since I've done this, you can go over here to your particles. And we can do liquid stream. And then wherever we spray this, it's going to spray liquid particles. And as those particles spill and make a mask, that's a little bit heavy. Let's do rain. So you can just click in your scene here, and it'll just rain particles, and you can go through here and change your particle direction and your gravity, and as it's raining that mask down, it's allowing these this material to kind of show through. So it's actually doing like kind of an acid rain thing. Now it's non-destructive, so I can go back into this material and say, you know what, I want it to actually bump out when it rains, or I want it to bump in more. I want it to not be green, I want it to be dark red or something. So you can kind of just go through here and use particles to do that type of thing. And there's also some really cool ones in here, like vein particles. You can go through here. Let's do it on the mask here. Just like click and drag that. Kind of watch the particles do their thing. You can do fracture, which is another cool one. Make some broken glass. You can do burn. So if you have like rocket exhaust, that'll just kind of go through and kind of burn up. So if he was like exhausting out of here, you could change this to black and just paint some particle exhaust on there, and it would just kind of go whoosh. There's broken glass, so not fracture, but just kind of like broken glass here. Laser impact. Just click and yeah, particles are always fun. Salt sprinkling, good one. Let's see, finish up with lag at the moment. Something brush settings, thought my head would be jitter settings. Yeah, you can rotate the whole canvas with the hand tool, but man, it would be great because like I do a lot of stamping. Sometimes I do a lot of stamping with decal. So if I go back here to do a stamp a decal here, and we'll go back to our brushes. Let's grab a default hard here. And let's go into our, what am I looking for? Alphas. So they've got some good alphas in here. Let's go ahead and do biohazard. So I'm going to drag this biohazard into my grayscale here. No, actually I'm going to drag it into my alpha. There we go. So my alpha shape is now a biohazard. Now in here, all I got to do is kind of just do this and it'll rotate. But in Photoshop, I got to go into like brush settings and do my rotation there, and that kind of sucks. I love having the ability to do that in here. So anyway, yeah, if we want to do a biohazard stamp, we could stamp that biohazard, and now it just inherits that material properties that it's stamping through. So let's go ahead and change this to like a yellowish, like kind of a dirty yellow, and let's not bump that in, let's bump that out just a tiny bit there. And if we want to, We can paint in this one. We can also do a separate paint if we want to kind of grunge it up. So we'll do add a fill to this, and we'll go to our grunges, and we can just take, you know, whatever, any one of these grunges here. And for this fill, we can do this as a multiply, I think. It didn't, I just overrided it, yeah. So now I'm just multiplying a grunge, so now it kind of grunges it up. And also on top of this, you can add a paint. So now we can change our paint to be black, and we can go to our brushes here, and we can go to dirt, make this small, and you can just go through here and actually add black dirt, and you kind of just go through here and just kind of crust it up, or kind of get rid of some of this stuff if you'd like. And you can always go back. It's non-destructive, so you can turn all this stuff off if you want to, and you're back to where you started. You can also go back here and change, you know, these properties. Also inheriting a lot of the underlying bump that we have, which in this case I do want. If you didn't, you'd want to make sure you went to height and change this from linear dodge to replace, and that'll just have this sitting on top like a sticker, you know. But we'll go ahead and keep this on linear dodge. Where did I say you were? Linear dodge for height. Let's see. Yeah, it is. Yeah, material teams, at least as far as our game studio at Certain Affinity, it would be a material team that's substance and substance designer and substance painter based. It's so good of a production tool to be able to go through here and do all sorts of cool stuff. You can't beat it for production. You really can't. I think the game cinematic industry is switching from Mari to Substance. Mari has a lot of cool stuff. The best thing about Mari is you can throw resources upon resources at it. You can do, like, I don't know, I want to texture everything, every polygon at 8K. Sure, why not? Let's do it. I don't know any other program that can even come close to that. But, you know, Substances have UDIM support. I don't know if they support painting across UDIMs, but which is kind of a deal breaker for me. But I mean, there's so much cool stuff in Substance Designer and Substance Painter that it's, I don't know, give them some time. Yeah, this is in 2048 right now, so as we're painting, it's 2048. And you can paint, the cool thing about Substance Designer as well is you can paint in 1024 or 512 if you want to, and then when you're done painting, just bump it up to 2048 and everything will res up. Everything you've painted, every brush stroke, everything you've stamped, as long as your alpha stamps are high res enough, it will bring that detail back. So you don't have to paint at your highest resolution. You can paint at whatever resolution you want, and when you go to export, it will update that on the fly. So, how are we doing on time? Okay. Ooh. Okay, we didn't get as far as I wanted to. Let me go ahead and rough up this paint a little bit here. So we got paint here, we got levels, we got paint. I'm also going to add another paint on top of this if I can. And I'm also going to go into my dirt brush here, and we're just going to kind of lightly, I said lightly, turn our flow down a little bit. Kind of just brush out some of these edges here so it's not so uniform. Actually, let's turn our flow up. I'm just going to really rag it out some of these edges here. And man, you can paint stickers on here. If I have some like warning decal labels, we can go through here and kind of stick it on here. I just did some farmer type equipment at work where you put on a warning label and you scratch off the edges, and it's just really cool how easy a lot of this stuff is. And I'm also going to drop this paint base color down just a tiny bit, just to kind of make that paint a little bit thinner. We'll turn our flow back up. Let's kind of chew up some of these things here. And you could go in here with your particle brushes and do paint splatter as well. You don't have to do it as a brush or anything, but it's something I like to do. Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing too. That's a good point, Axel, is doing, you know what, while we're doing this, let's go ahead and turn on shadows, intensive computation. And, oh, later, Brendan. Have a good night, man. Sleep well, if that's what you're doing. And let's see, so we got environment exposure, we got our intensive computation. We'll drop our shadow value down a little bit, and we'll go into shader parameters, common parameters, and we'll go from low to high, not very high. We'll just go to high. Gives a little bit more fidelity. If you hit tab, you can just go through here and you can kind of see and evaluate on the fly all the little stuff we're doing here. Really quick before I call it a night, let's go ahead and just drop a wood on here. So we're going to go back to our materials here. Let's do a quick search for wood. American wood will work fine, I think. So we can go ahead and kill, we'll call this decal. This one we're going to do a UV rotation. I mean, we can try triplanar, and actually that goes across the way I want it to, so that's fine. Let's go ahead and do a quick mask color selection. Pick gray, and obviously we need to tone that down a bit. So the wood color, we're going to just desat and possibly darken. And I don't know if that wood's going to be that glossy on this guy, so we're going to rough it up quite a bit because he looks like he's been dinged up a bit. And we'll keep dropping that color. That'll work. All right, so again, we didn't get as far as we wanted to, but that's okay. And now that we have this going, let's hop into Iray real quick because it's fun. So first we're going to save this